6 months ago, I made a video called Netflix Will Kill Cinema, where I basically asked, why isn't there a Netflix-style screening service that allows us to watch a movie from the comfort of our own home on opening day? Well now, 6 months later, Sean Parker, the first CEO of Facebook and the creator of Napster, who was played by Justin Timberlake in The Social Network, has announced The Screening Room, a Netflix-style screening service that allows you to see a movie from the comfort of your own home on opening day. Could you excuse me for a minute?
I am too smart. I am too smart. I am too smart. I am too smart. S-M-R-T. I mean S-M-A-R-R-T.
So we're all movie fans here, and something like this could drastically change the way we view movies and the way movies are presented to us. So let's talk about what exactly is the screening room and how it might change things for us and for the movie industry in general.
I don't know if you've seen, but Sean Parker is trying to promote this new thing called the Screening Room, where it would give people the chance to watch new blockbusters at home.
It's been endorsed by like Spielberg and stuff, right?
But also James Cameron and Christopher Nolan have said it's not a good idea.
Now it's early days, so we don't know every single detail yet, but here's what we do know. The way it will work is that you buy a set-top box for $150 that you plug into your TV. That set-top box has anti-piracy software in it that stops you from copying the movie. Even though I guess if you wanted to, you could set up a camera and record the TV screen if you wanted to have like a really terrible quality version of it. But you probably wouldn't need to do that because once you pay for the movie, it remains viewable for 48 hours after you purchase it. So you got 2 days where you can rewatch it as many times as you want. But how much will it cost to get a movie on the screening room? $50 per movie. Certainly that's a lot more expensive than buying a ticket down at the cinema, but I assume what they're factoring in is that if you pay for a movie on the screening room, your whole family or the whole household is going to be there watching it. So if you took like that whole family to the movie cinemas, you'd be roughly paying $50 worth of movie tickets. So it kind of evens out in that sense. But also, that $50 price does get you a movie ticket so that if you still do want to go to the movie cinemas afterwards and watch it on that, you don't have to buy another ticket because you've already bought it as part of the $50 price. But will this eventually lead to the death of cinemas? Because everyone can watch the movie from their own home, they don't need to go to the cinemas anymore? Well, I believe the answer is no in the short term, but yes in the long term. Let me explain. Because the way it will work, that $50 that you spend to get the movie, out of that $50, $20 will go to Hollywood, $20 will go to the movie cinemas for your movie ticket, and that last $10 goes to the screening room. So the cinemas are still getting their money even if you don't actually go to the cinemas and see it there. So they're set, they're still getting paid whether you go there or not. So because of this, in the short term, no, I don't think it will kill cinemas, but I don't for a second believe that this is going to stay the case forever with the money being split with cinemas. Because in my previous video about this, a lot of that video was me saying that cinemas will probably ban any movie that tries to release online at the same time as in cinemas, which they have already done a number of times. So I suspect this money split with cinemas is only being done as a way to stop the cinemas from trying to boycott movies. Basically to placate them so that they won't try to kill off this streaming service. But I wouldn't mind betting that as soon as the screening room has built enough of a customer base that they don't need the cinemas anymore, they will cut them out of the deal and leave them to wither and die. Remember, the guy who's starting this is Sean Parker, the guy who smashed the music business to pieces with Napster.
There'll be payback in case. I brought down the record companies with Napster, and Case will suffer for their sins too.
Sorry, you didn't bring down the record companies. They won.
In court.
Yeah.
You want to buy a Tower Records, Eduardo?
I could totally see Sean Parker doing something like that. So that's why I think that in the short term it won't kill cinemas, but in the long term it eventually will. Even if this particular service never actually gets off the ground, cinemas will still eventually die because this is inevitable technology. So even if Sean Parker doesn't get this done, someone else will come along and build something similar. So one way or another, the cinemas are the walking dead. Now I noticed in the last video I made about this, a lot of people raised the issue that this might hurt the movie industry because it will make movie piracy even worse. But I totally disagree. The ability to see a movie in the comfort of your own home will not make piracy worse, and let me show you why. Okay, so here we are on Pirate Bay. Let's have a look at what movies are available right now. Ride Along 2, Hateful Eight, There you go, right there. Batman v Superman: Dawn of Justice. At the time of me recording this, that movie only came out a few days ago, less than a week ago, and it's already up. It's already here. So if you're worried about something like The Screening Room going to result in pirated movies winding up on the internet, I'm afraid it's too late because that's already happening now. The Screening Room would not make piracy worse, it would actually be one of the most successful things in fighting movie piracy that I think you could ever have.
There's been a lot of people running around saying, oh, piracy, it's a terrible problem. How are we going to solve this terrible problem? You know what? The problem is not a consumer problem. It's an industry problem, and the consumers are the solution. The reason the piracy industry exists in the way it does is not because consumers are bad people who just want to get their hands on pirated copies of things. It's because of a vacuum that's been created by the industry. People have moved with the times. In the 21st century, people want to be given choices about how they can watch something, whether they can watch it in the cinema or at home, on pay-per-view TV or on download on the internet. But the industry, the movie industry, has been very, very slow to respond.
Because a common misconception about online piracy is that people who pirate movies, they do it because it's free. That's not true at all. Every study that's been done has shown that the people who pirate movies, on average, spend about 30% more on all forms of media.
Movie pirates still spend a lot of cashola on the legal enjoyment of movies. The fact that movie pirates spend more money on legal content shouldn't come as a huge surprise. Several studies have found that people who pirate spend more money on media than people who purchase everything legally. The idea is that pirates are just bigger consumers of media, period.
So the person who downloads Batman v Superman is also the same guy who goes to see it 5 times in cinemas and buys the Blu-ray when it comes out. So why do they do it? Well, they do it because of convenience. If it's easier to find what you want through pirating rather than legal means, then of course people are going to pirate. But history has shown that once there is a legitimate option that is just as convenient, people will choose that. That's been shown through what happened with Napster and the music industry back in the day. Okay, let's talk about that. So here's the story. Sean Parker, the guy who's now making The Screening Room, he creates Napster that allows people to download new music for free over the internet as digital files rather than buying them in their physical discs, which previously was the only way to buy music at that time. So the music industry lawyered up and they sue Napster into non-existence.
You're a zillionaire.
Not technically.
What are you?
Broke. There's not a lot of money in free music, even less when you're being sued by everyone who's ever been to the Grammys.
But of course, it didn't matter because the genie was out of the bottle at that point. If you shut down Napster, 50 other sites are going to pop up doing exactly the same thing. So the music business goes to Steve Jobs, who is busy making the iPad, and they say, can you put stuff on the iPad that will block like pirated music from being on there? Because that's killing our industry. And Steve Jobs, being Steve Jobs, says, I don't care, that's your problem, not mine. To which they say, oh, come on, man, help a brother out. So Steve Jobs relents and he says to them, look, the answer is not to try and stop pirating because it can't be stopped. The answer is to create a legal means through which people can buy music digitally. Give people that option and they'll do that. Thus, iTunes was born, the music industry finally was dragged kicking and screaming into the modern age. And today, that's how pretty much everybody gets their music. Sure, a few people might download from time to time, but it's nothing compared to what it used to be.
Our music is for free, you can download MP3. Keep it playing on repeat, if you hate it, press delete. Our music is for free, you can download MP3. Keep it playing on repeat, if you hate it, press delete.
Steve Jobs was right. Now is a time when the movie industry is in exactly the same situation. Online piracy is a massive problem and you can't stop it. No matter how many times you shut down Pirate Bay, there's always going to be other sites popping up doing exactly the same thing. So the only solution is to create a legal alternative that basically provides the same service. And The Screening Room is just that. It's inevitable technology that will do more to combat movie piracy than anything else. And I think the fact that Steven Spielberg, as well as some others, have endorsed it, that shows that there are at least some in Hollywood that can see the value of something like this. But there are also others in Hollywood like James Cameron, Quentin Tarantino, Christopher Nolan. They're very much against this. They believe that their movies should only be enjoyed on the biggest screen you can imagine, the cinema screen, not a small TV screen. And they want it to stay that way.
I think that there is something that happens when you watch a piece of live theatre or cinema that is about a collective group of people watching it that enhances your emotional response to it. My concern about something like that is it isolates you as a viewer, whereas I think your response is heightened by the fact you're experiencing it with other people. Yeah. Do you not think that it's more fun to watch that movie with a group of people?
100%. But I'm also a parent with 2 kids, and not every parent with 2 kids is getting a babysitter to go to the movies.
Okay, that's a very good point. Yeah.
But they may want to watch it with their wife or friend at home. The kids are in bed and go, oh, I've heard this is great, have a new weekend.
So what happens to cinema then as an experience as a result of that?
We as filmmakers have to give people a reason to go to the cinema.
So I'm curious as to what you guys think as movie fans. Like, will you get the screening room in your home when it becomes available? Or will you stick with just going to the movies? Yeah, do you think it will destroy the movie industry, or do you think it will help it to grow bigger and better because it's including an audience that otherwise wouldn't bother to go to the cinemas? If you click on the card in the top right corner, I've put a couple of polls up there because I'm interested to see the results. And also, be sure to put your thoughts down below. So, I am Bandit, this is Bandit Incorporated, and until next time, I will see you guys in the comments. Recently, Netflix came to Australia and I fell in love instantly. It is just the best thing ever. But it does make me wonder, if TV can do so well online, then why aren't all the different movie studios building their own type of Netflix websites so that they can release their movies there at the same time as they're out in theaters? So if people don't want to have to drive all the way out to the theaters to see them opening night, they can just pay for them online and just watch them on their PC or their iPad or something.